Alright, today we are taking a peek at Quasar issue 40, continuing Quasar's Affinity Wilds tie-in. We have a Steve Lightbulb cover, which I do like, but I really wish someone besides Wolfman was there. Wolfman has naught to do with Quasar. He hasn't ever even interacted with Quasar. Captain America and Thing are relevant. They are Quasar's friends. But Wolfman, it should be 90s Thor, maybe, or Hercules Man, or God forbid, Moon Garden, the beautiful bald lady. That's who should be in place of Wolfman. For now, I'm just having to pretend that it is D-Man. Lucky for us, there ain't that much backstory I have to explain. If you want a lot more details, my review of issue 39 contains them. But all we have to set up here is that, as part of the Affinity Wilds storyline, Quasar is embarking on a last-ditch effort to defeat the big villain by using the Doomsday weapon, the ultimate Nelly Furtado. We are picking up from that, and we are seeing what happens in much greater detail here. In Affinity Wilds, it is 2 panels of Quasar activating it, whereas now we see in slow motion kinda what happened when he fired it. The plan doesn't work. Quasar, he only ends up nullifying himself rather than his target. We have some subplot pages, most of them slowly setting up the Starburst crossover, which is still a bit away. We have Quiznos, and we have Quasar's girlfriend, Carly. And it is a bit upsetting to me that Steve Lightbulb drew these subplot pages, because when we get to our next spread, these are Steve Lightbulb's final pages on Quasar. He did 1 issue and 8 pages, and then was fired by the book's new editor, who hated the hard timers. Now, the credits for this issue actually list the editor who hired Steve Lightbulb to be the regular artist for Quasar. Next issue's credits list the new editor, a one Michael Rockford, the man who led the series through a gauntlet of unprofessional artwork, a poorly managed crossover called Starburst, and finally, abject cancellation. He will cry and say that he had nothing to do with any of these things, even though he is credited as editor, and he repeated the exact same cycle of bad art, crossover failure, and cancellation on Seaman a few months later. This page is excellent though, these pages. Steve Lightbulb was a wonderful choice for Quasar. Here, he has been tasked with effectively designing and envisioning a world, a void, a realm of nothing. And rather than having a blank space, like most artists would maybe lazily do, he has taken that idea and gone, well, if this realm was a blank space, why can't it be busy as fuck? Steve Lightbulb was fired by editor Michael Rockford, who did not like his art, and he was replaced with a younger artist, Andy Shit. I don't like his art much, not because it simply took over from Steve Lightbulb, but Andy Shit was Michael Rockford's fault. Andy Shit wasn't really ready for a proper book. He was still not quite up to scratch. He should have been doing backups for annuals and learning and getting better from them. Quasar, a monthly series which was still coming off the heels of a semi-popular run with art by Greg Batman, wasn't where Andy Shit belongs. Michael Rockford, like a lot of editors, seemed to have dreams of discovering the next Todd McFarlane. So it didn't matter if Andy Shit was good or even right for the title. Michael Rockford hoped Andy Shit would get better after 3 issues and become a big name. Instead, Andy Shit quickly leaves Quasar after 3 issues to sub for Ron Lee on Silver Surfman. Not because he was good or because he was right for these types of books, just because he could finish the art on time. It wouldn't be very good art, but he could pitch it on a monthly with substandard art. Now, he's not a good artist, but when you have an issue by Andy Shit, there is usually 1 or 2, maybe even 3 images that are okay. Pictures that show there was some potential there or some promise. And his first page in Quasar, this is actually pretty good. It is the only page where I didn't immediately recognise it as Andy Shit instead of Steve Lightbulb. It was Obsidian's body that gave it away, the arms. They don't look quite right. It's a decent start for him here. It's downhill after this, but he gets off to the races with a bang. I need to explain what happened, and Obsidian. Quasar, using the ultimate Nelly Furtado, has nullified himself, and now he is in Obsidian's realm. It would be easier to understand if I used its real name, Oblivion, but it's Obsidian now. Obsidian is a weird character. It was introduced in Jim Tomatis' Snowman Limited series of all things. Quasar reveals Obsidian is the 4th in the pseudo-family of Eternity, Affinity, Lady Death, and Obsidian. The sharp difference is that Obsidian never fucking matters. Whenever all those entities get together, Obsidian is never there. Which I have convinced myself makes sense because Obsidian has no interest in the universe. It wants Thanius or whoever to obliterate everything so that it can then reign supreme as the empty void that exists in lieu of the universe. Obsidian's main source of appearances is in Quasar. Obsidian kind of became the man behind the curtain. Obsidian was who Miles served. Black Racer is to Obsidian what Silver Surfman was to Galactus Man. Obsidian also did appear alongside those entities in a damage control miniseries. Don't think that you can catch us out by pointing that out. I already knew. And now our hero, Quasar, has found himself consigned to Obsidian's realm until Kid Reaper shows up. And I have a lot of ideas or takes on Obsidian and even Kid Reaper, but Kid Reaper is maybe how Quasar perceives Lady Death. Kid Reaper was seen in earlier issues. It showed up to Quasar when Quasar was about to die, but, well, I don't get into fanon or fan fiction much, but I think Kid Reaper is a trick. Obsidian has been the one trying to claim Quasar and using the guise of Lady Death to do so. Obsidian wants to steal lives or souls from its sister, Lady Death, and Quasar is one of them. Here's me evidence. First, Kid Reaper is dismissed by Miles as if it is an underling. If it was Lady Death in Tiny Toons form, that makes no sense. Why would Miles even see it that way, or at all? Thirdly, because the second piece is this issue we're looking at, in Quasar 49, I think it is, Quasar does meet Lady Death, and Lady Death is in its more traditional form rather than Kid Reaper. Actually, come to think of it, he was there when it showed up in 25. And wasn't it at Eeyore's funeral too? Quasar should be noticing something here. That Kid Reaper seems a crock of shit. And that other example is this issue where Kid Reaper is in Obsidian's realm and is functioning as its agent. Maybe it is my own interpretation, or I am seeing stuff that was never intended. But they are morsels of intrigue that you can find in something that most people cringed at, like Kid Reaper. Here is what I cringe at. Properly rubbish art by Andy Shit. Too embarrassing to publish art like this. It's our only scene that, in all of Affinity Worlds, as the other heroes acknowledge that Quasar's gambit has failed, and in the process cost Quasar his life. I wish Steve Lightbulb drew this page. It's then used to start setting up our next story arc. One of Thanius's agents is the 50s superhero Uranus Boy, which has many retcons to it. Well, this is from about a year earlier. Thanius resurrected some of the past wearers of the Quasar bands, Quasar's magic bracelets. Thanius resurrected some of them using the corpse of Eeyore, and Uranus Boy is the one left over. Andy Shit does the art for it, but there's some good bits in that story. Uranus Boy tries to supplant Quasar's rule on Earth. He is eating Eeyore's corpse here as well. Demented little detail. The art, the Andy Shit art, and this is all his art usually, it is very stiff. The characters look like they are moulded. They aren't capable of movement. The poses they strike are rigid. Nothing looks flexible. They look like sculpted statues. And on top of that, they don't even look like anatomically correct statues. Andy Shit's art pisses me off only half as much as these phone scams. And I did start to get pangs in my stomach reading this. On the Carly subplot pages here, I started thinking to myself, you know what? I think I might be close to the point where I can adequately cover the Starburst crossover and get across its overwhelming mistakes. Something Marky Mark G did great in Quasar was he would mine continuity for loose ends or things that could be repurposed for a new or better story, and one of those is this. The Chief Examiner, that is this thing here, redesigned for the 90s, but Robert the subscriber no doubt knows the Chief Examiner from Quest Probe. Quest Probe was a video game tie-in with Marvel in the 80s. They did 3 issues. Hulk, Spider-Man, and Fantastic Force. And then the company that made Quest Probe went bust. A 4th issue, the Excellent Men one, was published as a Marvel Funfair. There was meant to be an Iron Man one with Roddy Rhodes too, but Quest Probe and the Chief Examiner remained an unfinished story. Nobody knew what became of the Chief Examiner or his mission. It was left abandoned. Until now. Starburst ends up the answer anyway. Not that exciting. Intriguing characters with ulterior motives continue to appear, and Quasar is eventually slain, but his Quasar bands are unacquirable by Kid Reaper or Obsidian. I don't think unacquirable is a word. Inacquirable? No, that doesn't sound right either. Turns out though, by next issue, Quasar himself isn't really able to be claimed by Obsidian either. His afterlife is part of something else. Nice advert here for cables. You've got to turn it on its side, which I love doing. Junior artwork. I really wish Steve Lightle at least got to finish this issue. But if we start saying stuff like that, I wish he had done the last 20 issues all. I don't think Quasar would have been cancelled with him consistently churning out quality art for the series. I think it might have lasted as much as another 6 or 7 issues. I would forgive Andy Shit's art in Quasar. He was starting out. I don't lay the blame at his feet, and nor do I of the artists after him. I lay it at the tear-stained feet of Michael Rockford. I'll give this issue 7 thumbs up because it's not bad. Some of the art is, but the comic ain't all bad.